Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Have you ever heard a song and then wondered why am I hearing this song? Or you thought of one and then you wonder what's the reason that I'm hearing that? Why is that song popping in my head or those lyrics? What's going on there? Have you also thought that maybe there's a reason for that? Maybe somebody is sending you that song, those lyrics. There's a reason behind it all, not just a random, I just thought of a song. We're going to talk about that today with somebody who is an intuitive medium and helps people figure it out, heal at the same time. She's also interesting in not just being an intuitive, but she's also a licensed marriage and family therapist. That's over here to this side. We're not talking about that today, but I just find everything she's got going on there fascinating. How it's all encompassing. She is Noelle Deane, and she's back with us. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Steve. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Been an interesting last couple of days. I'm interesting last couple of weeks for you, for sure. I'm going to say this before we even begin. You have the disclaimer. I don't have it in front of me. Do you?
I do. The information presented on the podcast is educational in nature and is provided only as general information and is not medical or psychological advice, nor is it a substitute for seeking licensed healthcare services.
All right. Let's start with the music. Now, we've talked about this before briefly on podcast, off podcast, that music just pops up, like it pops up in your head or a song comes out of nowhere. Um, I tend to believe that there's a reason that it's presenting itself. It's not just a random song that's coming out of nowhere. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. Even how you say how it pops up, like when we did our show last week, and I forget how you said it. You said it a little bit differently. You didn't say it pops up, but a song just sort of comes to you out of nowhere.
Sure.
And that is an easy way, usually, for people in spirit to connect with us. Now, what the song means, is it the title that's like the message? Is there something embedded in the lyrics of the song? Is it a sentimental song?
Hmm.
Is it that was your favorite artist? That was that person in spirit's favorite singer when they were here, so they're going to play those songs. There's just so many ways that we can use music to understand what the message is, but I have to spend a little bit of time on it. Not a lot, not a lot.
Hmm. I believe like any of those signs that pop up that we just let them go. We don't look a little bit deeper. Not that I think that we should keep looking. There's a meaning, and then you read into something a little too deeply and this really, maybe there's nothing there. I think if something keeps showing up or it resonates with you, there's a reason that it's doing it. Countless times and for me, music is me. So I played music on the radio since literally since I was a kid and got paid for it, and still do. So for me, it's very powerful. And there's messages in music, whether it's a message from the other side, or wherever, I don't know. It's whatever you want it to be, but countless times. I mean, like I have the words to a song on the office wall over there where I was 2 years ago. I was driving here and I was like, I need an answer. I have a situation with a loved one. I know there is an answer here, but I don't know what it is. I need the answer. I could tell you the stop sign I was at, where I was, you know, asking for the answer. Let It Be by the Beatles. Bloop, dropped into my head. I'm like, what? What? And then I'm like, what is with that? And then there will be an answer. Let it be. Drove here. 8 minutes later, phone rings. It was the answer. And I was like, oh, there was an answer. Um, and then we talked about my mom before, but there's a word, the lyrics in the song is Mother Mary, come to me, blah, blah, blah. I always thought that was a religious reference, Mother Mary. It was Paul McCartney's mom.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. I looked it up because I was like, why is this song? What's going on? Answers, please. And Rose Mary is my mom's name. So I don't know. Maybe she sent that song to give me an answer for a loved one that she's connected with or was as well. I was like, I'm taking that. And then I put the words up on the wall. Yeah, I glance at it from time to time, but it was, there will be an answer. And there was. I'll never forget when the phone rang. And it was just a person that gave me the answer that I needed to know to help somebody else. But I don't know. Does that happen for you? Am I the only one? Am I a freak here? What's going on?
Totally a freak. I hate to break it to you this way, Steve, but no, I get this every day. I mean, I get songs every day. I wake up with songs. I'm just kidding about being a freak. We all feel a little bit freakish when we start talking about like this is a sign from the and it's not just a normal thing our brains do. I
For sure.
feel very freakish about a lot of things that come
Me
out of
too.
my mouth or things that I experience because we don't really talk about this kind of stuff.
No.
Music is an easy way, you're very auditory. So that would be the perfect way for somebody in spirit to connect with you. Some people are more visual and they'll get visions of things. Some people just get a download into their head and suddenly they know something. But you and music are a natural fit. So it only makes sense that if people are looking to connect with you, they would do it through music. Now you could look up what I'm trying to do better is look up the song when I hear a song and then try to feel with my gut what part of this song is the message? Where do I feel more energy or resonance? It could just be the title, Let It Be. The thing about Mother Mary was like this embedded signal to you, which you often get from your mom about stuff. So also asking, why am I hearing this song if it doesn't seem related to, like you were asking for a message and you got one, you got that song. What if you're not asking for a message and you just get a song?
Right.
What's
I
that
don't know.
like?
I don't know. But and I don't want to be the person to say, read into everything that comes up. Every song there's a meaning in it. No.
Yes.
And even that let it be situation, if I didn't get an answer, there will be an answer that day. I mean, I'm
8 minutes
talking
later.
10,
Yeah.
10 minutes. It would just, then I'd be like, it would have meant really nothing, but there was. So to me, and there are some things I hold steady on, and I don't care what anybody says. That was there for a reason, hands down. Don't believe me? Don't feel it? That's good for you. Whatever supports you. Um, I'm working on that one because it just come on, the synchronicity, the timing, and all that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, songs can convey like there were times when I was connecting more with my grandfather and I was getting Al Jarreau songs. I mean, those are, sort of sultry love songs at times. And I was like, Papa, he's like, look, that's all I have to work with kind of thing. But there would be a part of the song I would feel more of a connection to about loving somebody or, I don't know that there's
You,
songs,
you said Al
grandparents,
Jarreau, correct?
Al Jarreau.
Okay, so he had in the early '80s a song, "Morning." And it was a hit. It was actually, pretty substantial hit back then. Um, I'd be curious, and like, how do I even know that? Like you're saying it, and I'm wondering if there's maybe you should look up the lyrics even to that song because that's the one that, after all those years, really put him on the map. And it was a happy, lighthearted song, basically about
Hmm.
mourning.
Like about the morning or grief?
The morning.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But you know what? Not that I'm looking into anything and I'm just typing in the lyrics here. I mean, that song. Um, but maybe it was called Morning, right? Maybe there's something else there. I don't know. I think it's worth looking into, that
Yeah,
particular
yeah. A
because
little investigating is makes it worthwhile. I recommend asking if you are hearing a song seemingly randomly, it pops up, it drops out of the sky. That's how you said it last time, just drops out of the sky. Maybe it does make you automatically think of somebody, and it could just be them saying hello. We were talking
right.
last week, and I was saying I listened to some AC/DC. When I was on the plane, only few songs were available on my phone, and I listened to Back in Black, and I had this moment of remembering AC/DC and what a big part that was of teenage years with my sister and myself. And then You Shook Me All Night Long was the song that came up to use as a calling card. It's been amazing when it's popped up. Not a song I think about. My husband and I were hanging this shelf right here. For those of you that don't know, we are recording this also on video, so you can see this on my YouTube channel. It's called Connecting with Noelle. But my sister loved decorating, as did I in some ways, but not as much as her. And I feel like she showed up for this decorating opportunity because as soon as we got the tools to hang the shelf, I start hearing You Shook Me All Night Long. I heard it when I got dressed. It's popping up, and that's just her way of saying I'm here. So maybe it can be an accompaniment to the feeling of somebody's presence.
Sure.
So she and I haven't created an agreement about that song because it brings us back to our teenage years. The words of the song don't matter, but it
Right.
was just on an album that was really popular and we listened to it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at the words of things like you mentioned last time we spoke, In the Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics. So I looked that up today when I
Which
was out of
dropped, by the way, dropped out of the sky for me when we were talking about your sister.
yeah, and it seems so fitting because it's every generation blames the one before and about not talking about having differences while you're here and in the living years, not resolving things. Now, if we trust our intuition, which we should, there's reconciliation that can be done after the living years, which is happening right now with my sister in some of our interactions. We've not been talking nonstop, but we've had some conversations and apologies have been exchanged. It was not part of our relationship in the living years. My sister was very proud. I'll just say that. And that was just, it would have been, I think, overly humbling for her to apologize for anything. And she's apologized for quite a few things, which makes it easier to let go of some of the, old stuff. And anyway, and I've certainly been apologizing for things that I've done as well, which has been really nice. But songs, if you heard it recently, if you thought about it recently and then you hear it, well, that's just you coming from you and life. But if it does
Mhm.
drop out of the sky, assume it's some kind of message and go with it and not to rabbit hole on every song that you get
Right.
or every potential sign, because you could drive yourself literally a little crazy doing that.
Sure.
But, there are reasons and see what part of it resonates with you. So maybe Steve, and you are so oriented towards music, you might want to look up the lyrics, but there's a good chance you have a lot of them stored in your head. But when you do look it up, see what feels we've talked before, when you feel a yes to some question, it feels light. So just kind of read the lyrics or look at the title and just sit with what suddenly feels light. And that can be your answer.
One of my defects is I don't remember lyrics.
Really?
Like I really don't. You would think that playing music on air, I would. I just don't. I would be. I could never be in a band. I have much respect for anybody who sings live. Like, how you doing? To Springsteen, man, how you doing that? Yes, you wrote the songs, but look at all the songs, and
Yeah.
you sing them. And then they do covers sometimes of other artists' songs, and like, I don't get it. I don't know how it's done. Um, I do want to share with you that song by Al Jarreau because something is telling me I need to do this.
Hey,
And out of nowhere, that was the song that in the early 80s, maybe like 83, uh, that brought him mainstream. He'd been
okay.
around for as a jazz singer for a long time, but he in the song he references, he's just saying morning. Morning's a great time of the day. I don't know if this connects with your father, right? That was the connection, right? For morning.
I'm getting a yes, actually. Actually, it was my grandfather, but
Grandfather. Okay. Um, in the song, and I'm not going to do all the lyrics. I'm just going to pull the certain fragments that maybe he references Cheerios. He references Oriole, like the bird.
mm,
He references uh, Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco. He references I should walk, but I can't. So health wise, I don't know. What's the other reference in the lyrics here? Um, Essentially, those are the ones that immediately stand out. So I don't know in relation to your grandfather if there's a some kind of connection there, but like we're talking about, Mother Mary for me and Let It Be.
Mhm.
Mom's name essentially was Rose Mary. I kind of think that she dropped that song to tell you it's going to be okay. You're getting the answer. Calm down. It's coming your way. And it did. So I don't know. It's something tells me I needed to. It's like, why do I know of Al Jarreau, a song from 1983? Random. Maybe there's something there. Connect to your grandfather.
So thank you so much for sharing that and trusting your intuition to tell me about that. And just want to share part of sitting with a song and what part resonates. So as you're saying Cheerios, I'm like, I'm not feeling the energy of that. But the idea of morning, which I'm a morning person, my grandfather was a huge morning person. And the idea of morning and a fresh start.
Mm,
And as I sat with that part of the song, when that came to mind and I sat with it, my eyes got tearful. So that's me feeling more energy around that. Like you might feel lightness or you might tear up a little bit. So all of that is helpful information. Our response to what's coming in is all we've got. So
hmm
that's our validation. That's our message. So I'm going to go with and that would be the perfect message for my grandfather.
the Golden Gate is very random in that song. It has nothing to do with morning. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a San Francisco reference there for him.
It
Yeah.
made me think of the first thing I thought of when you said San Francisco, and I know there's the Golden Gate Bridge, but I thought of the George Washington Bridge, pictured the George Washington Bridge, and we all were in New York. That's where we
Maybe, maybe.
so
One thing that you said that I think is so important that we need to say it here is that anybody can look at what we're talking about, you know, you being a morning person, your grandfather being a morning person, and oh, come on, that doesn't really, that's very vague, blah, blah, blah. Okay. However, if it resonates with you and you feel it in your intuition,
yeah.
something to consider.
Yeah, or feel it in your body
Whatever,
actually.
whatever,
Like
wherever.
I'm tearing up, becoming emotional.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
we have to go with what supports us and what we do feel is right for us. Um, I've had some really great surprises in connecting with my sister, or since her passing, I spent a week with my mother and her partner, and different family members came in who are in spirit. And one of my mother's friends shared condolences with my mother.
Wow.
I know. It seemed very odd, but yeah, I think five people came through, kind of one after the other. Um, I wasn't expecting that. Maybe that happens all the time. I just haven't had that experience before. Um, I also had a dream with a friend who we grew up in the same neighborhood. We weren't really friends, but a guy who I had this dream about, who I saw at a younger age, like in his 30s, but we have had almost no contact in, I don't know, 40 years. And I reached out to him on Facebook because we are friends on Facebook. And I said, oh, it's interesting that you showed up. I didn't know if he already knew my sister had passed, and he didn't. He said, like, that's my thing. I show up to old friends and family right before after they lose somebody to cushion it. So his intuition or his soul, I don't know how to explain that, showed up for me in a way that that's how he shows up for people without having any knowledge at all about my life situation. So that was
Mhm.
really interesting. I'm often the one reaching out. I'll have a dream about somebody that I know, and they're like, "Oh, thank you. You're reaching out at the perfect time, whatever the message is." It was interesting to be on the receiving end. So thank you again, Richie. That was really sweet. Um,
Wow.
and oh, go ahead.
When the your mom's friends, relatives, connections sent condolences, was she getting that? And I know she studied a little bit with you on intuition, mediumship, or were you getting that and you presented it to her?
I was getting that. We were just in the living room, and some people, I could just feel that there were people there that had information. I can get like chills on my body if somebody's visiting. just gives me a heads up. Just like when I hear you shook me all night long, I have that heads up about my sister. I didn't know who was there exactly, but I could tell, I could feel that the energy was there to communicate. And it was just sort of one person after another. Her friend Gail, who passed many years ago, showed up and, I'm so sorry about what happened and well, I'm here for you. And then just other people, including her mother, who uh, they didn't have the best of relationships, but gave a very sweet, loving message, as well as my sister giving her own message to my mother. Um, yeah, it's just been really interesting to experience that. Um, yeah. And I want to also just say that, connecting with somebody in spirit, I know my sister has crossed over as far as last time I asked her, she hadn't gone through her life review. When I did ask about her being around, what I got was that she was going to be around for maybe 2 to 3 months, then she would be unavailable for 8 months. That's what she told me. So I don't know. But when I have been able to connect with her, I feel like sorry, I don't feel. I've been able to connect with the best of her, the best parts of her. She was sassy and funny and sarcastic, and that has come through. She had people that she would sort of gush over a bit lovingly. I wasn't one of those people. But I have had that experience on, I think, 2 occasions now with her. It felt very foreign and weird, but when I'm asking and double checking, I'm getting a yes. And I do trust what I get. My grandmother, who we were both really close with, a different grandmother than the one I was talking about earlier, shows up with her as a quote supervisor. So she doesn't really interact with me. I don't know if she's making sure just that everything goes well.
Hmm.
That was very clear.
She's like
Um,
the gatekeeper.
well, thank you.
She's the bodyguard. She's the bodyguard standing there. What do you want to say? Let me make sure that's clear. I know that's a visual. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that no weird energy, mixed energy comes through
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
there's still stuff to work through. And now I also have the experience of being myself with my sister in a way I've never had before without any fear of judgment or repercussions or egoic defensiveness on either side. That's been amazing. And as I mentioned the last time we spoke, we hadn't talked in 10 years. So I feel like I've changed a lot in the last 10 years. I went through cancer. I really, for myself, my mediumship exploded in a way I never expected it to. And so things have changed.
Hmm. Do you
So
feel at this juncture, I want to ask this question because I find it somewhat fascinating. In your communication with your sister, and you had some challenges in your relationship. I get it. Same thing, in my life, all of us. Do you feel that that animosity is kind of in the background now and the communication is more in a positive way with her?
absolutely. Or I wouldn't communicate with her. I am not willing to set myself up to be can't think of the right way to say it, but if somebody is not feeling good with me or about me, I
You don't
no
want to
thank
engage.
yeah,
And
yeah,
especially if that was the case, you're you were grieving the fact that regardless of the relationship, she's not here. And it came as a surprise to you. And you just if the negativity was still there in the communication from the other side, reasonable to say, I don't want to do that. Like I'm not,
I
you
would be
know,
an idiot to engage in that. That's part of why we stopped talking is
yeah,
setting boundaries around the negativity
yeah.
and really like taking advantage of each other in that kind of way. So I wouldn't, just wouldn't. I would do whatever I could to block that energy. I had to do that when she was here because she's very intuitive. I was afraid that she would send negative energy my way. So I worked pretty hard at times to field myself. And now I don't feel the need to do that. Also, with my grandmother around, and I'm aware enough to know if it's something's feeling off, that I will stop having that interaction and ask for help. And
Hmm.
uh, Yeah, the first interaction was a little iffy, but since then it hasn't been. But I'm still staying very aware, just
Sure.
because you're right. There was animosity. There was a lot of weird stuff between us, and I don't know how healed she is or me. And I think I'm grieving the loss of the relationship from 10 years ago and since more than I feel like I'm grieving her death. I'm very sad for, how her health turned and all of that. So there's that part of it too.
But I believe you're saying that. I'm going to base this on my experience. She's, but I think it translates, and I want you to tell me. Um, I don't grieve my mom's passing.
Mhm.
I found her, passed,
Oh, sorry.
but and
Yeah.
it was a surprise, but it's
Yeah.
not because I feel she's around. So I think you're saying that you're reconnected with her in a positive way. And it also looks like to me that your grandmother is like, if you were little, she'd be like, guys, come on, stop this. All right, we're done with this. Play nice, play nice. That's the vision I get from
Hmm.
there. You know,
That would have so been her.
that's what I got.
So
Like
would my
she,
grandmother. Yeah,
you
good
know,
pick up on that.
and it's funny
Definitely.
how she's there. You're receiving her in that way where she's like the traffic cop, play nice. Come on. All right. Come on, girls. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, with you about the not grieving somebody's passing, I think what we often grieve is we're aware, we feel like they're gone now.
Yeah.
They're gone. But when you know you're still connected, you don't have that severing of the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you, it feels a little bit weird to grieve being a medium, or maybe for you being very intuitive because you're like, well, she's like here all the time. I get messages from her. I get signs from her. You get all kinds of stuff from your mom. So it would be silly to grieve. I mean, I'm sure it's
Yeah, I know what
sad
you're
to not
saying.
get hugs and spend time together and have lunch, but the actual connection you have.
And if they weren't real messages, but they are, and that, yeah, don't need to get into it because they are. Um, and of course you do. Yeah, we all have the guilt. We say, should have spent more
Mm,
time, should did, but you know what? Yeah, I feel even more connected, and we had a great relationship now than then. Weird. Can't explain it. Like just comfortable. It's kind of weird. Um, and I hope that comes your way for you and your sister.
I'm already on that trail with her of clearing out the old stuff. And I get to be mad I have moments of being mad and being like, I can't effing believe you did that. But I'm able to talk about it with her in a way where she's not getting mad.
You want
There's
to hear
just an
something really
opportunity.
weird? I got to share this. We're out of time, but I got to tell you, getting a call from a friend. He's not a super close friend, and his name out of nowhere, you can't see it. His last name is Deane, and his first name is
And
Kenny.
I just connected with a friend with the same first name just when I got home, and he's been on my mind. So,
Like I haven't talked to him. Like he never calls me, and
wow.
he's calling now. Your last name is Deane. His first name is Kenny. I don't know if there's a Kenny in your life or past or whatever.
He's not passed. His dad passed. This is an old friend, and anyway, so yeah, there is a Kenny in my life, and my last name is Deane. So thank you, whoever gave that. Is that Steve?
You can't make that up, people. Come on. Like I don't
I'm
even. It's
getting
not
a
like
yes. You can't. Yeah.
it's
And I'm
like
getting a yes that that's your mom. You could check in and see how that feels to you. But
And again,
yeah,
he's not like a close friend. We're friends. We hang every once in a while, like every couple of 3 months, 2 months, whatever. Never calls. Like, and if he's going to call, why now talking to a dean? He's a dean and there's a Kenny. I don't know. Where not for me to figure it out. It's like let the download happen from
yeah,
universe.
yeah. I wish there was a song I could actually sing well called Synchronicity or something like that because it's also just reflecting that we're all connected. It's beautiful. Just like
Okay.
my friend from childhood, coming into my dream. We're all connected. We just don't realize it. It's a beautiful way to end today. Thank you all
Hmm.
for listening. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach me at connectingwithnoelle@gmail.com. Noelle is spelled Noe. LLE. My website is Connecting with Noelle, as is my YouTube channel. If you want to see Steve and I, that's where I put the videos of our conversations. And thank you very much for listening.
No, thank you very much for being here. My next mission here is the Police, 1983-ish, had an album called Synchronicity. One of the songs on there was called Synchronicity. I'll be looking up those lyrics. I don't know why. I just need to. You never know.
I'll look up Al Jarreau's Morning. So
I think you should. I think you should.
Well,
All right.
I am.
Good talking with you.
Yeah, you too.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.